pattern sheet that you have sent me, and I'm very excited to get started working on this. I don't do this species very often, so what a treat for me. Now, don't you worry, I have made a couple before, but it's still exclusive, so what do you say we just get started on this? Yep, me too, I'm excited. Alright, so, do you know the steps that we'll be taking today? No? Okay, don't you worry. So, essentially, what we'll be doing first is creating the base of the shape of your fursuit head, just around you, starting off with a foam head, and then from there we will pattern everything out, and then we will transfer it to the fur, and then lastly we'll just put it on. Pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to let me know. I don't bite. Okay, sweet. Well, what do you say we get started with the foam base? Okay, sweet. So, starting off, we are going to be using this half-inch craft foam, which is what a good chunk of fursuit heads are made out of, just to start with. It's not going to look like anything too crazy, just a simple shape around your head. It's very soft, very spongy, very cushiony, almost like a pillow. It's pretty similar to, I suppose, the mattress covers that you put underneath your sheets, kind of, if you've never felt this before. But we are going to be cutting out a simple bucket head out of this for you. Okay. And don't worry, I've done this so many times that I hardly even need to take any measurements. Yeah, don't worry, we'll see. We'll test it as we go, just to double check. But I got you. So, using my trusty rusty scissors, let's cut out just a little base around. What do you say? Okay, great. Getting started here. A perfect cut, really. I don't think it gets any cleaner than that. My eyes are pretty much rulers as is. I know, I get quite a bit of compliments on that. But let's finish getting the other side, so that way we can get this rectangle to your head size, which I'm just going to quickly measure out, About... Okay, yeah. Let me see here. Okay, yeah, that should be good. I have it in my mind now, so let's get this cut out. So, there we go. Slowly but surely. And I think that should... How does that fit? Yeah, pretty good. Okay, nice. Now, don't worry about that little knock there. That was bit more. Yeah, I think we'll go about halfway. So. It's a little bit finagly. There we go. That should make it a whole lot easier to, like I said, make you be able to look up. But we do have to do it to the other side. So let's do that. So that way when we put it together, it'll be a whole kind of like half circle. So let's do that now. Yeah, I really don't need to measure it. I can just do it by eye. Yeah, it's an experience thing, really. Yep. I know, I do work pretty quickly. Yeah. So, now, if we put these two together, that should leave you with a little neck thing perfectly lined up, right? I'm pretty good. Now, another thing we need to do is cut out some eye holes for you. So, let's do that really quickly. Nothing too big. We'll get to the eyes a little bit later, but just something initial so that way you can see. So let's measure this out on your face just to see a little bit. No, probably more like okay, from here it's like yeah, that should be okay. I've got it in my mind. So let's see. Oh yeah. Yeah, just standard procedure pretty much. Usually these aren't too different. So, got a little one right there. Oh, scissors kind of stuck. And we will just cut a little eye hole around that. Just a little one. Yeah. I think that's good. Yeah. And we'll do the same thing for the other side. Now, I did see that this one is just a little bit lower, which, that's normal. It's very custom to your head. So, just make a little bit of a snip there, just to make sure it goes through. And then, from there, you can do the same thing. Just cut out a little hole. There we go. Now, let's do a quick test fit just to make sure that's right. There we go. Right, you can basically see like normal. Well, it'll be a little harder to see, but with my quality, it'll be practically like it's not there. You'll see. But one last thing that we gotta put on here before we get to cutting out some of the bigger shapes and gluing everything together is a mouth hole. Kinda need to be able to breathe in this thing. So, let's do that real quick. I also measured that out while I was getting your eyes, so no need to, do any remeasuring. No, trust me, I got this. I measured it out. You don't need to worry. So, just like before, a little bit of a snip just to initially puncture it, and then I'm going to use the eye holes as a guide. just to place this. Now we're going to bring this up pretty high because it also has to fit your nose. So something like that. And it's going to look kind of like almost like a guitar pick. As you'll see. Kind of like... Yep, this is part of the measurement too. Yeah. Just something kind of like... There we go. Something kind of like that. Yeah, it's pretty good. It should fit your face perfectly. Do you want to try it on? Okay, good. Well, glad you said yes, because that is the next step, is just putting this thing on you and gluing it all together. We'll put a top on it soon, but this should be good for now. Okay, so with my trusty hot glue gun here, this is a very, very expensive hot glue gun. It works via Bluetooth, so the heat goes through Bluetooth. It's kind of crazy. I know. I don't really get how it works either, but very expensive and high quality. So I am just going to glue this around your head. Okay. Okay, great. Well, not like on your head, but let's put it together. So just a little bit at a time now. That should be enough. So just going to hold this together. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty good, pretty good. That should be enough time. Alright, so let's put this over top of you real quick. And there you go. How can you see? How does that work? Yeah, like I said, pretty good with my craft, yeah. Okay, great. So, we'll get a little bit more of the actual Fursona species going on here. How does that sound? Like building it up from foam. Yeah. Okay, great. Now for that, I have a lot thicker foam. It's double the length. It is 1 inch wide, but essentially still the same super soft material. Very, very, very spongy. Very good. But I will cut this out for you and place it onto this base that we have going on. How does that sound? Yeah, okay, sweet. I'm gonna put this down here for now. So, first thing I think we'll do is get kind of a muzzle shape going on here. Let's see. Yeah. That should be good. Okay. Yeah, let's put that, compare. Yeah, that should be good. Just gonna make that a couple more times and just layer that's lined up pretty well. Alright, let's move on to your cheek fluffs. So, putting that down for now. Let's see here. Let's cut out a little bit more foam. Kind of like that, yeah. Now these pieces are going to be a little bit bigger. But the trimming everything up that we'll do here in a second, that is the main cleanup process. It'll look kind of weird whenever we just initially put things on, but you'll get the idea. Yeah, a little bit like that. Okay, now that we've got these two pieces, let's put this on your cheek here. That should be enough. That should be enough. Okay, let's hold this in place. You don't want to use too much of this stuff, because otherwise it'll get kind of heavy. Definitely made that mistake a couple times with my first few suits. Yeah, it was like they were sturdy, but my goodness, they were solid. Okay, that should be good now. Yeah, okay, let's do the other side now with this other piece of foam here. So let's bring this right here. There we go. Let's see. Yeah, that looks about even with that other one. Let's just keep that in place. Yeah, that should be good. You just kind of gotta wait for that to dry. That is a good chunk of fursuit making. It's just waiting for hot glue to dry. But luckily, since this thing is so expensive, it doesn't take as long. Yeah, the glue is also Bluetooth. I forgot to mention that, but you know, I don't want to spend the entire time talking about my fancy tools and techniques. I'll just let that speak for itself in my work. But now, I think there's only a couple more pieces we need to get. Let's see here. Cutting on the major shape. Yeah, I kind of know these from memory. Alright, let's go like that. Maybe a little more rounded there. Yeah. Okay, now let's put that. We have your cheeks and muzzle. Let's. Yeah, that seems a little bit more right. It's gonna be your brow bone or your eyebrow. Nothing too big. Alright, let's get that glued on. Yep, if anything gets in the way too much, just let me know. Okay, there we go. That should be good for now. Yep. And that should be good. Alright. I think now the only thing we need are your ears. Your species doesn't have too much cheek fluff, but we will put a little bit on the sides. Yeah, kind of like mine. My suit is very old. My style is quite outdated. make another version here soon, but I do want to get yours quite accurate to your species. So let's get your ears, and then we will move on to the next step of trimming you up. And that should be good on the length there. Alright, so get a little excess trimmed up. Yeah. So is this your first fursuit? That is so cool. I remember the joy of making my first fursuit. It was kind of weird. I knew it was a fursuit because, obviously, but while making it, it didn't quite feel like one. I don't know how to describe it other than that. I think the real magic of it came from when I saw somebody else's fursuit for the first time. I was so mesmerized. I was like, oh my gosh, that is a work of art. Okay, let's get your ears put on here. Put them together. Grab my glue gun. Just, I think I'll put these on together, and that one will stay in place, and then there we go. Get this other one here. There we go. Now, holding these in place. Yeah. Just a little bit of trimming up to do next. And that should be good. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that looks pretty good so far. It's a little early to tell, but we'll see. Now let's get you trimmed up. Now, I'm just going to be using the same pair of scissors that I was using before, just to, get you carved up here. It's a little bit messy of a process, but it is just kind of rounding things out, starting with one side. Yeah, I used to get some spring-loaded scissors for this, but those things, and they were nice for a while, but I would use them just for a little bit, and it would just always crop out on me. I'm just gonna hold you still here for a second. Yeah, a little bit there. Yeah, that should be pretty good for that side. Yeah, that seems about right. Well, maybe. Yeah. Just kind of around the back of your head there. There we go. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've gotten pretty fast at this. This is one of my favorite parts. It just gets messy, little bits of foam everywhere, but what can you do? Okay. Yeah, and then doing the other side. Just tilt your head a little bit for me. Yeah, that makes it easier. I wish I was ambidextrous, so that way I could, wouldn't have to worry about it with my right hand. I could just go freehand with my left, but unfortunately that's not the case. So kinda gotta do what I can. this symmetrical is definitely a challenge sometimes. It's gotten a lot easier with experience, but, you know, at first you just didn't know what to look out for. Just a little bit there. I guess your ears could use a little bit of shaping, just a tiny bit. There's not usually too much stuff there, too much foam, that is. Yeah, that looks good. That looks pretty good. Yeah, I guess a little bit more on your nose and muzzle. Just these tiny little snips to make everything a little smoother. Nothing too insane with the taking off larger chunks. Everything's looking pretty smooth as is. You're looking so good, which, you know, is to be expected, but this species is always a treat to make. Just a tiny bit more there, and just there. Yeah, that should be good. Part of trimming up fursuits is just knowing when you need to stop with the base, you know. Okay, yeah. Okay, I think we are ready to move on to the next step, and that is your eyeballs. Well, not your eyeballs, but rather your eye blanks. Let me show you what we have for that. So, the first thing that we're going to be using is this little foamies sheet. This is like a little, I think it's made out of EVA foam. I always forget. There's so many different types of materials, but I found this is the best one to make depth for the eye blanks with. And yes, I do make my own custom eye blanks with these and a couple other materials I'll show you. Just because I feel like it better expresses the expression that you're wanting and gives just a little bit more character to whatever character that I'm making. So, yeah. Plus, this stuff sounds so good when it's stuffed on. Oh, just a side note that I've discovered while using this. Next up, though, we have just this plastic sheet here. It's just white plastic, pretty much. I used to get these from like old folders, believe it or not. Just really from wherever you can get. I think my eyes are also made of the same material, but this is just the backing of the eye. The actual mesh that we're going to be using is, let me grab that here. This is PVC mesh, and it is originally made for computers. Sounds kind of fun, but I believe these are made out of metal. They, like, from a distance, as you can see, looks very, it looks very white, very hard to see through, which is good because, from a distance, you don't want to be able to tell that it's not a solid thing. So, but whenever you get real close to it, it does that, and you can see practically right through it, and it gets so much better whenever it is painted black. So, that is what we were going. Oh, that's what it looks like on your ref sheet. I'm assuming you're fine with just white, yeah. Okay, just wanted to double check. I have a couple other things that I want to double check with you here in the next couple steps. But for now, we're just going to be painting the back of this black. So let me grab my brush here and my paint. I'm just going to be painting that. Just getting a nice even coat for now. Yeah, I actually have found that makeup brushes like these work extraordinarily well with getting an even coat that not just is very soft and easy to work with, but also makes a very smooth and even coverage. Yeah, this shouldn't take too long, but it is good to ensure that you have at least a couple good coats of the stuff. Just going nice and slow with each one. Okay, I think that should be good for the mesh for now. We'll set that aside just for now. For the plastic backing, do you want your eye shape to be essentially how it is in your reference sheet, or do you want to make any changes to that at all? Yeah, make it look a little bit more like, when you say fierce, do you mean like having like a positive, kind of like having like little hunter eyes, you know? Okay, yeah, I've done that. That's quite a common one, especially nowadays. I feel, these really small circular toony eyes are not really in style currently. Definitely need to update my own, but getting the plastic cutout of this. Yeah, we'll get all this assembled up here shortly. Over here. It's definitely good to be pretty careful with this stuff. So, set that aside as well. And for the last thing, this is the little walls to the eye blinks, the thing that creates the depth for the follow me eyes effect that you can see is going on with my own Fursuit eyes. So, really easy to do, just a couple strips along here. Nothing too deep, just about as thick as the foam is on your head currently. So, let's get that cut out right quick. Yeah, like I said, my hands are pretty much built-in rulers. Just right here at the tip. There we go. That is the first strip down. Set that aside. Set that just over there. We should do it one more time. There we go. Now, let's grab all of these components and put them together so that way we can put those in your head. But not quite yet, just to make sure that it is all able to go in before the lining. That's what we'll get to next. So, first things first, let's get these glued together. Just grab this here. Alright, so first eye blink. Just gonna glue this all together. I suppose it's not really much of a blank since it has the eye patterns in it, but your eyes are technically white, which does make my job a little bit easier. I think those kinds of eyes look so cool, by the way. Okay, now, let me just hold this down. Yep, put it all together. Yeah, that seems about right. Okay. Alright, that's that first one done. Now, for the second one, just grab that. Just glue that in. Yeah, this glue is very, very dense, and it doesn't go by very quick. Yeah, a lot of the entry-level stuff, as you could say, you need to buy like whole bags of the glue for that, but I'm telling you, high quality stuff is where it's at, you know what they say. Buy nice or buy twice, so. Alright, now that we have those, let's get those put in your head. Let's see here. And there we go. Okay, now that we have those, let's get those put in your head here. How does that fit? Yeah, that looks really good. Oh, well, let me. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, those fit good. Yeah, those fit really good. All right, great. So we're about halfway done. We just need to get the actual fur part done, and then we should be good. So lucky for you, I already know the patterns of all of this. I don't need to put any tape on you and rip it off, draw the patterns and whatnot. I got that up in here. So all we need to do is get the actual fur, get it cut out and put on you. But before that, I wanted to see a couple things about the fur colors on your actual persona. Yep. Okay, so let me grab my fur samples here. Okay, so here are the fur samples that we have that I picked out for your Sona. I like the color palette chosen. It's very warm, very neutral, but the browns, big fan personally. But I did have a couple questions for you. As far as the darkest brown on your fursuit, do you prefer the cafe shag or the light brown shag? Oh, there we go. They're kind of similar, and I just wanted to make sure what you thought. Yep, they both feel identical pretty much. Yep, this one is the light brown, and then this one is the cafe. I know they do, like, this one is technically lighter than this one, but, you know, then I don't make the fur, unfortunately. I would swap the names, I think. Yeah. I agree. Okay, I'll set that aside. And then one other question I had. Do you prefer the desert tan shag or the camel shag? Yeah, I know these ones are like, they don't look quite the same, but they are like I feel like the way that they shine on camera is pretty similar, you know, or just the highlights on them. So I wasn't too sure which one you wanted for your kind of like yellowy color. Yeah. You like the desert tan more. I also agree. I'm actually pretty glad that you chose that one. I think it works a little bit better with the amber color that you have going on. So then that leaves these three, with this one being your main color, and then these other two. How does that look? Look about right. Yeah. Okay, now, one last question before getting everything cut out and put on you. May I interest you in some purple? I mean, are you sure? Like, it would fit so well with the warm colors that you have. It contrasts excellently, but is still relatively analogous with it. Okay, I'm just saying that it does work quite well, if I do say so. I just know that this is definitely going into my 2.0. Can't hit a guy for trying. Okay, but that sounds good. But before that, let's get you lined up on the inside to make everything a little bit more comfortable. How does that sound? Okay, sweet. We'll make this part quick because it's not too complicated. You know, it doesn't vary very much from suit to suit. So let me grab my fabric for that. Here we have the lining material. This is a neoprene. I think they call it scuba knit. I kind of forgot. I just bought it in bulk a long time ago, and I've been using this stuff ever since. But it is very stretchy, which is very good for the inside of your suit. And it also is very, what's the word? Not insulating, but it helps keep you cool. Yep, that, yes. I am not much of a linguist, but this will make things much more comfortable. I don't know if you've ever worn a suit without lining, at least on the head part. I've seen suits that, they leave that part kind of not lined, but I think it just adds a little bit more of that professional look. But I don't know if you've ever worn a suit like that, but oh my goodness, it is rough, let me tell you. But for this one specifically, we are going to switch scissors to the fabric scissors and get that cut out for you. So, like I said, I already know the patterns, so I'm just going to get this cut out while you can take a second to chill, or go to the bathroom, or, just relax. Yeah. No, this is very relaxing for me. Yep, if I didn't enjoy doing this, I wouldn't do it for a career, The thing that I don't get, though, is those fursuit makers that take up like 20,000 commissions, and they can just never seem to finish them. Yeah, tell me about it. It's always about like mental health or something, which, is valid in some cases, but it is kind of a shame whenever you're one of the people in the queue. I'm lucky enough to have never experienced that, really. I just do pretty much everything for myself. Yeah, I do art on the side too. That helps. Yeah. I actually don't have a main person I commission. I've never commissioned anybody, actually. Yeah, kind of crazy, but hey, again, just kind of a perk of being an artist. Okay, so now that we got that done, let me sew all the pieces together. Now, this is something that I was pretty much born with. Like, I can sew together insanely fast. It's almost like it doesn't even happen, so let me just... Yeah. I know my fingers move quite fast with this. And there we go. All your lining is sewn together. So, just need to get this glued in. You'll come a little bit closer. I'll get this put in. Yeah. Alright. So, yep, just on the inside there. Keep that in place for a bit. And a little bit more waiting. And that should be good. Yeah, no, I didn't take anything away. No, it's in there. Trust me, it's in there. Really good hot glue gun and glue. Alright, so next up, I think the last thing, aside from the finishing touches, is to get the fur that you requested brushed, trimmed, and cut out and put on your face. This part this part shouldn't take too long. Apologies for my stuttering, and if my stomach makes any weird noises. But, this is the main color that you have, and I'll get things brushed and cut out just real quick for you. So, let's get this brushed. like this pretty much every color. I feel like there's a lot of people that brush it this way more often than they do this way, which makes sense because, even brushing this way, takes out just all of the loose fur, which that adds up over time, and whenever you brush this way, I feel like it takes up so much more of it. This is fake fur. And that means that there is only a limited amount of it. In some instances, I will brush it the other way though, just to make sure that it is, just to make sure that it's standing the right way. It's basically a more aggressive version of doing it this way. Lost the brush there. That should be good for now. Now for getting the fur shorter, you're going to think I'm crazy for this, but I use scissors rather than using a trimmer. I know, it's kind of crazy, but I think that it gets an even, you have more control over it, and you get a more even shave. I know it's technically not a shave, but the term I'm using loosely, but it does work. I'll show you. I got the patterns already in, I'm using my mind, and it's pretty much perfect, just like your lining fits. But let's get it trimmed and cut out. What do you say? Yeah. This is like one of the last big pieces, and then we'll jam. Oh my goodness, this is like one of the last big pieces, and then after that, it's just a couple small details, and then you're good to go. Yeah. Alright, let's get this fur trimmed and cut out. What do you say? Yep, again, just using my fabric scissors. I think here it says fabric only, as you can see. And I really trying to live by that rule, There have definitely been instances where I have had siblings and or friends use my fabric scissors on things that aren't fabric. And my oh my, you can definitely tell. Makes things a lot harder to cut. It's okay though. share of scissors, though. Not just fabric scissors, but lots of them. I take good care of my stuff now, though. I usually get pretty high quality stuff. You know, quality over quantity. I try my best to do. Keeps things simple. Okay, that should be trimmed up pretty well. Yeah, okay, now let's get things cut out real quick. Yeah, I mean, not all of it needs to be trimmed out, you know. There are some parts best left alone, like your cheek fluff, and honestly, a good chunk of the head. I would say it's about 50%. Yeah, even like with ears like mine, like these floppy ears, I used to trim them kind of short, and I used a shaver to do this and my face, but certainly has its imperfections. Yeah, no, I just used long fur for it. I think it looks a little bit more stylized. There's kind of a hard line, or not hard, it's kind of a blurred line actually, from parts of the fursuit that you should keep stylized versus parts of a fursuit that you should make look accurate. Okay, yep. Alright, so that is all of the pieces cut out. At least I think it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, yeah, that should be all 55 pieces. Yeah, okay. Alright, I think I just need to sew them all together, and then we will glue it onto your pretty little head. Well, I guess you do look a little scary right now, but that's only because it's foam. You'll be, like, super cute here in a second. Alright, let's sew this all together. Okay, yep. Sewing it. Yeah, I pretty much don't even need to look with this. The thread kind of does its own thing at this point. Some weather we've been having, it's been pretty rainy recently. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the rain, personally. My fur does get everywhere with this, doesn't it? I know this does take a little bit longer since it's like an entire fursuit, but you know, technically more pieces too because of the patterns in your head, but that's okay. Yeah, alright. I think that's it. So let's grab the trusty hot glue gun once more and start putting this on your face, and then we'll do a couple final touch-ups, like making the nose, the teeth, which I don't have any teeth, old style again, and your tongue, and then I guess your eye, like, what do you call them, eyelashes, the surrounding eye bits, then we should be good. Okay, great, yeah. That part won't take too long, so we're pretty much almost done. All the hard part is out of the way. So, let's put this on you. Just starting kind of small here at the front. Yeah, you definitely want to take your time with this. Yeah, using a lot, but these strokes are, I'm not pushing too hard on this trigger here. Just, just a little bit at a time is all you need. Laying it flat. This suit that I have on, you wouldn't notice it from afar, but it definitely has its fair share of hot glue lines. If you ran your fingers deep across the fur, you could feel it's there. But I have learned since how to not do that. Alright, just we'll let that part set just a little bit more, take a small break. You're doing alright, right? You don't need okay, yeah. If you do need anything like a glass of water, just let me know. We can take a little break if you need. Okay. Yeah, we're right there, so might as well finish it out. Alright. Well, let's finish putting this fur on you then, and then we will get you out of here. Not that I want you to leave. You've been great company. Just know that it can be hard to sit still for so long. You've been doing a great job. Just getting the ears on now. Okay. Just, could you turn around for me? Yep, okay. There we go. Getting your right. I guess now it would be your left. Always gotta consider that, left and right when talking to someone. Such a hard topic. But yeah. Alright, that should be pretty much it. It looks great so far. Yeah, there's just a couple more things that I need to sew up. And your nose and everything. And your nose and all those other small details. But, you look gorgeous. Yeah, you look so cool. But, let's finish everything up and get those last little bits. What do you say? Okay, sweet. So, what I have here, since I've noticed that your little fleshy bits like your nose, tongue, and teeth and eyes are all white, we have here some white mochi minky. Now, what mochi minky is, it's a little bit different from regular minky fur, which is the same stuff that I have here for my nose and my tongue. But what mochi minky is essentially the same thing, but a lot stretchier. I think it goes all the way in all directions. And it is a good bit shorter. I believe the pile for this is, aka the length of the fibers and fur, is 1 millimeter, while the pile for regular minky is, I think it's 2 or 3. I think it's 2 to 3 or something like that. But, this is the same material that you would find on Squishmallows. I don't know if you've ever held one of those before, but yeah, they're pretty common. But it's the same thing, very, very soft in all directions, very silky, very smooth. And I've switch to this because I just think the end result is so much cleaner, and I think it's gonna look so cool on your character. So, very excited to basically do the same thing. Yep. Alright, just need to cut this out a little bit. Nothing too crazy. Just a tiny bit more cutting here. Again, I pretty much have all of these patterns memorized in my head, so don't you worry. Yep. Yeah, I don't really do too much aside from fursuit making, so better be good at it. Okay, I think that should be good for your nose. Let me sew that together. Okay. Let me get this and just glue that on your snoot just a little bit. Okay. You don't need too much there. I already put on a good bit of padding with the foam there, so now I just need to get that sewn on. There we go. What do you mean? I didn't have my thread. Well, I mean, it's sewed. Just trust me on it. It's good. It's sewed. But just need to get your teeth filled with a little bit of stuffing here. Just grab some of that. Stuff your teeth in. I don't have teeth personally, but on my next suit, I think I'll want to put something in. That would be kind of nice, just to show that I'm an actual canine. But, same thing. Just put that. Can you go like this for me? Yeah, just kind of raise your snoot up a little bit. Okay, great. There we go. Just getting that sewn. Alright. Those are a little bit more difficult, a little bit more intricate, but that should be in place. Now, oh yeah, your tongue. I forgot to get that out. Let me do that real quick. So. And just fold that over. Okay. So, let me get this glued in. I actually have a couple magnets that I put in these so that way they are interchangeable. And if you ever want like a different style of tongue, just let me know and I can put that in for you can put in a request and I can make you any different type of tongue that you're wanting, really long, really short, or something of the sort. And just let me know. So I'm gonna glue in a little magnet there. Just so that way you have the option. And then I'm going to put that in here. Line it up and I think a little bit more like that. Okay. There we go. Yeah, this should be good. And now that should just stick in. Yep. That should be good now. Alright, now I think the last thing that we need to do, I might do a couple more snips on the main bit of fur there. I see I kind of missed some bits. Nothing too crazy, just to crispen up some of those edges. Yep, and a little bit on your eyebrow. Yeah, oh, that amber color looks so good next to that. Orange is such a pretty color. It goes very well with brown considering it's pretty much the same color, just it's the same hue, I should say, or very often at least. Very complimentary, or think very fall themed. But yeah, okay, all touched up there. Now the last thing that we need to do is your little eyelashes. I forget what they call them. The lining around your eye, pretty much, and then you're pretty much done. So let's get that last thing in. And for this, we're going to be using a little bit of a stiffened felt. I know that sounds great, doesn't it? Oh, it sounds like rain almost. It's like a deep rain sound. Very big fan of these tapping sounds. Okay, anyways, before I get too carried away, let's get this cut out. So, before I get too carried away, let's get this cut out. So, I'm just going to it's kind of a precise thing. Luckily, I have your eyeball shape in my memory and know exactly how to cut it so that way it fits right around your eyes. And that should be good for that one. Just one more time now. I know, I'm excited for you too. The best part about getting a little bit quicker with these is the faster that you do it, the quicker you get to see your creation come to life. It's so cool. Alright, so just need a tiny bit more glue, just a tiny bit more. And then should be good. So just getting that around, grabbing the other one. There we go. Nope. This one's a little finagly. I think now, just let that dry for a second. Really press those in. You know, trying to make that as seamless as you can. You know, always impressed that I can make it exactly the same shape. It's a skill. But, yeah, I think you're good. You look so cool. Yeah. Do you want to see what you look like? Yeah, there's a mirror like right there if you want to see. Right, isn't that so cool? I'm glad that you like it too. This is like, I love your vibe. I love it so much. Still think you could use a little bit of purple. That would be nice. No, I'm just kidding. I just gotta promote the purple brand, you know. But I love your persona. Love your species. It's super cool. But that's about it. I think this is the saddest part for me is having to see you leave. Yeah, there's a lot of fursuits that I've made out there that people just use them for personal use, you know, no posting to social media, and then just poof, they're gone. Yeah, that's probably about the hardest part of being a fursuit maker, but you know, at least you leave with another satisfied customer, and I hope I could do the same for you tonight. Yeah, the only payment that you have to do is just leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Yeah, there's gonna be a but a little bit more of a professional setup, as you can see. But yeah. Yes, thank you, thank you. I'm glad that you like it. Alright, well, I hope you enjoy your fursuit, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. And I will see you